Nothing gets the two gentlemen I'm with today more excited than resources and royalties. Well, there might be a couple other things, but I'm talking about in the investment world. I'm Rob. That's Galen downstairs. He's chomping at the bit, or is it champing? Champing. That's Vishal upstairs. Chris is frozen, which means he's going to be spending some money today. This is the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable, and today we're talking about Elemental Royalties Corporation under Frederick Bell. He is the CEO in Vancouver, and it's traded on the TSX Venture under ELE, fondly enough, Elemental Royalties Corporation. And Mr. Galen, just how excited are you?
Well, I like the royalties because it's a nice, solid investment in a industry that's typically high risk. These guys, as all royalty companies, go out and do the due diligence for you, get a little piece of the action of somebody's production, and then basically pass that profit on to you. So your real thing is just how good are these guys at picking winners. Now, Elemental Royalties has got, I think they've got around 7 projects under their belt, and most of those projects are producing at this very moment. We don't have to wait for anything. We've actually got some profit coming through the door right now. In 2017, this company was making about 400 grand a year. They expect to be doing between 10 and 12 million dollars worth of revenue this year. So they've actually ramped that up, and they've got the nice thing about what their deals are. If anybody's familiar with net smelter royalties, is that typically there's an option for the producer to buy out that royalty. But with the deals that these guys have done, this is life of mine. There's no buyout options on any of these royalties. This is going to keep continuing. Well, that's redundant, to pay out until the mine goes into reclamation. Now, these guys don't pay a dividend yet, at least as far as I can see, but I'm sure that with any royalty company, that is coming down the road. This is a nice, solid investment for somebody that's looking for a retirement package. It's not something that's going to grow intensively, although these guys do trade considerably less than their comparables, which would be like Nomad Royalty and Metalla Royalty and such. These guys are trading well less, and I think I think it's a $1.20 a share.
$1.40.
$1.40. Sorry, $1.40 a share. These guys have some growth potential, even in the short term, against this. So it's a sneaky deal to get into. And by sneaky, I mean sneaking in. I don't mean the company itself is sneaky. If you get in there right now, there is some actual potential on the front side for blue sky for you. And then long term, as far as having a retirement package available to you in your portfolio. And now on that note, I'm going to let Vishal take over because I think, and then sorry, Rob, I'm not trying to cut you off.
No.
That was what I was coming out of my mouth as I was speaking. I think that he will be able to give us a little more of an in-depth peek and the technicals.
Right. One thing I was just going to ask as a transition is, did you mention dividends, or will he mention dividends? Is that a factor here?
Well, it is a factor typically with royalty companies,
right.
But these guys are young enough at this point in time that they haven't actually made that an option on their stock yet. But I'm sure that it probably is in their story.
Gotcha. We can say they're an early stage royalty, but they're quite well advanced. Like you mentioned, they have 7 royalty properties here that are in production right now. I'm looking at the presentation here as well, and there's going to be another one coming in online around July of 2022. The Mercedes royalty is expected. So that's the thing about these royalty companies, right? And in previous investor roundtables, we've talked about why, I know I've talked about why, like, it's probably the best business model out there. Drew this chart pretty much on why I love royalty and streamers compared to a normal mining operator and compared to, say, gold ETF or the bullion. Capital costs, operating costs are much, much lower when it comes to the royalty and streamers. Some of these are run by like 10 people, really, and it's leveraged to gold price. There's the exploration and expansion side. And then, yes, that dividend yield, which is very, very important, because when gold is going up or gold is going down, the company's making money regardless and can pay dividend regardless, right? Because those miners have to keep on mining that dividend. So dividends, is going to be that that next step, I guess you could say, right? Right now, they're bringing up all these royalty and streams, bringing them up online. And from there, again, as Galen mentioned, still very undervalued compared to some of their peers like Nomad, Mavericks, Metalla, and such. Taking a look at their recent earnings, and this is Q1 of 2022. You can see here that they did bring in quarterly revenue of $2.2 million US, generated across 5 royalties, 1,147 attributable gold equivalent ounces sold at 0 cash cost to the company, operating cash flow inflow of 1.2 million. There was actually a net loss of 1.2 million, though it says here as well. So again, still very early stage, but you can sort of see that net loss and the cash flow is basically break even there, I would say. And you're just like 1 or 2 royalty streamers away, right? Additions to basically go profitable. And, if management is great, they can develop and bring in more royalty and bring in more streamers and increase the amount of money coming in. And eventually, they will pay a dividend, right? And that's the end goal for all these royalty and streamers. So now it's basically just betting on management, right? Seeing if they can do what they set out to do. Can they add these good royalty and streamers? Generally, when the gold and silver prices are getting depressed or when it's like a bad market, that's when good management will go out there and look for good royalty and streamers, right? Because it's a bit cheaper, but basically they're playing that cycle, right? Where in the next cycle, they believe gold and silver prices will go up and all the investments that they've done in the down market will pay off, pay a lot of dividends to management and also the shareholders on the upside. Speaking about the charts, been quite a choppy 2022 for elemental royalties here. You can see there was a big gap up to end the year, actually. We had a very big move. What was this? Let's say this was a move, 33% move in December of 2021. We hit recent highs of around $1.78 near the beginning or mid-January of 2022. And then since then, the stock's just been drifting sideways, very, very choppy. And I've drawn this wedge pattern. It's called a wedge. It's very simple to understand why it's called a wedge. But basically, you have these levels where price is bouncing off of and bouncing above, right? So essentially, the way you trade this is you just wait for a break on either direction for the stock to get going. So we remain patient right now, waiting for that break, but it does appear as if the stock is heading to a support level that is around the $1.35 level here. So if I draw a mini support level, maybe you can see that a bit better here. So there is a bit of support actually around this level here, and I'm connecting the dots. That's all I'm doing here with these levels. So perhaps this is an area where we can see some sort of bottoming and building a base. But I think, to get me excited is, and again, this is to get excited on a technical level, right? I think the fundamentals are great for royalty and streamers. They just have to add a bit more royalty and streamers down the road, which they say they are going to in July of 2022. But from a technical perspective, if you get a break above this wedge pattern on the upside here, you're good to go. There's a new uptrend.
That is one wacky chart.
It is.
We've seen those spikes. We see those spikes all the time, but the way that it just went and then it built off of, usually see it come drop back down before we see the range. But man, that is a funky.
One positive thing I'll just say quickly, Rob, because it just came to my attention here. The stock actually popped on that recent earnings there on Q1. So that's also a good thing to see too. So.
All right. So let's go to Galen and see how much of the $7,500 that is allocated to his pocketbook he will be spending on this ELE.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because, minerals have been going through a bit of a schizophrenic period at this point in time. People have been wondering what the heck's going on. Gold has been going up and then kind of leveling out and then sitting there and going, where's the dollar going to happen? I think in the long run, this is a really good buy.
Yeah.
As Vishal was talking about, he's a technical trader. He looks at the charts and he's more prone to, not that he does this regularly, but he's more prone to trade on a swing basis, where he's looking for values on ups and downs that are going to happen within a week. I'm more of a long-term guy. I want to put my money in, walk away. This is one of the companies I think I can do that. And I think it's reached a level right now where it's not going to go any lower, really, because it's got producing assets and it's not going to lose those. And those options, the royalties are going to go through life of mine. So it's not going to get I don't think, any worse than this, at least in the long term, over a 20-year run. It's going to show some good profit. So you know what? I'm dropping the whole caboodle in there.
Ooh.
75, why not? Because, I love me gold, and there's a lot of it.
That is 2 days in a row for Galen dropping 7,500 bones.
And it's not
which also
typical because
means-
I'm a real cheap bastard.
Chris is frozen. That means he's also spending 7,500.
Oh, yeah. Yep. He
Thanks for
agrees
coming along.
with me wholeheartedly.
All right, Vishal, will it be the clean sweep?
Get that bell ready. I think it'll be a clean sweep here because in this one, I agree with Galen. I think this is a long-term. Oh, did we hear the bell?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But I think this is, definitely a long-term hold. Early stage royalty streamer. And that sort of gets me excited because it's great to see these things grow. And now it's all about management, right? Let's see if they can do what they said they're going to do, if they can get more royalty and streamers online. And, if we don't hear anything by, say, the end of this year, that might get me a bit, that might get me closing a bit of my position, right? So I like the stock. I like the setup. I like the fundamentals. Now it's all about management and whether they can deliver.
And I'm liking Frederick Bell. He's picked some winners so far. It's if he brings that stuff online, well, he won't be doing it. If the company they've invested in brings that mine online in June, and as anticipated, I think they've got a good thing going. And Frederick is the young face of mining, and I like to support that because, well, the other guys are going to be dead in 5 years.
Blood.
We need new
blood. Right? Nicely done, fellas. Holy smokes, you're throwing some cash around here. Start the week as we progress. That's Vishal. That's Vishal. That's Galen. That's Frozen Chris. I'm Rob. We tell you now to please do your own research and homework because what we've said is not guaranteed. We can't promise you a damn thing. You have to do your own homework. Past performance does not guarantee future results as well. So please do not assume anything. Never assume anything. For the gents, frozen and unfrozen, we'll see you on the, by the way, let me just throw it out there again. On the TSX Venture Exchange, Elemental Royalties Corp, it is ELE. And as Galen just mentioned, Frederick Bell is located in Vancouver with the rest of the crew. We'll see you on the very next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.